Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. We have Emma Raducanu versus Jessica Pegula for the quarterfinals at the 2025 Miami Open. Let's get into it. Before we do, remember that like button, do subscribe if you're new, and do leave a rating or review if you're listening on a podcast platform. Also, make sure you click that bell button and notifications are on, and also your YouTube notifications are on so you get alerted to any new uploads. Okay, so this is an interesting one. The head-to-head is 1-1, and it's the first major quarterfinal that Emma Raducanu has had since the US Open 2021 tournament, when of course she went on to win the title in very surprising but stunning fashion. For Jessica Pegula, she is a consistent performer on tour and consistently makes quarters and semi-finals of slams, and also these Masters tournaments, 500s, 250s, etc. She is a mainstay, I would say, for second weeks or latter end of tournaments, or latter stages even of tournaments. And she has been a fantastic performer consistently for a while, for a number of years now, and the only thing really missing from her repertoire is something that Raducanu has, which is a Grand Slam. So how does this one play out? Well, the head-to-head, as I said, is 1-1, and Raducanu beat Pegula last year in 3 sets, 3 very tight sets in Eastbourne, and then a couple of years prior, so in 2022, Raducanu lost to Pegula 7-5, 6-4 in Cincinnati. I mean, not too much to take from either match, really. I mean, one was almost 3 years ago, and the one in Eastbourne was on grass. So I guess the only thing that both players can take from those matches is that they can beat the other. You know, no one's got an unbeaten record against the other, so it's going to be competitive, I think, is probably what I'm thinking. In terms of style of play, there's a few things to know, I think, from Raducanu's side, especially during this Miami week. I think the conditioning and physical work she's been doing with her coach, her fitness coach, is really paying dividends. She has been defending extremely well out of the corners, a lot better than I've seen potentially ever in her career. She has put on some really gritty performances and very long and physically taxing performances that have been needed to get through and get herself over the line. I think during Miami, the biggest one, because actually the others have been relatively short, was that Navarro win, which was a very tough match. She had to win in 2 tiebreakers and also lost the second set. So it was a 3-set match, a long one at that. And she had to play against a top 10 player who was really throwing everything out at her. So that was a really good performance. Beat Ishii in her first match 6-2, 6-1. Then Navarro 7-6, 2-6, 7-6. Then Kessler was a walkover after she'd taken the first set 6-1. And then 3-0 or 3-love in the second set. And then Kessler retired. And then against Anisimova, I think also was struggling maybe with some hand blisters, but she, I think, was comprehensively outplayed, and I actually predicted that, so I was happy with that. Raducanu enacted the same result that she did against Anisimova at the Australian Open here in Miami. 6-1, 6-3, very, very impressive performance from Raducanu. Now she comes up against Pegula. Raducanu has also had, and this is pointed out by Amy on X, Amy Lundy, and is a really, really good point she made. She has won at least 50% of her second serve points in every single match in Miami so far. Now that one, I think, highlights what I was saying earlier about her defending well out of the corners. But I think 2 just generally puts a real focus on her defense in its entirety being much improved. And that's a real positive. And the fact that she's able to defend and have confidence in her defense and then actually transition to attack. And she's actually done quite a few interviews where she's mentioned specifically about defending and how she's been happy with the way that she's been moving on court. The movement is there and she's feeling confident with her legs, which is a real positive. For Pegula, she's looked good, only dropped the single set, beat Pera 6-4, 6-4. Kalinskaya was a really tough match, 6-7, 6-2, 7-6. And then Kostyuk beat her 6-2, 6-3. And she's also very good generally defensively. I wouldn't say she's necessarily as good a mover as Raducanu, but I think she defends well with her tennis IQ. She knows how to mix it up a little bit from the back of the court, that is, with the forehand slides, the backhand slides, the lobs, with the angles as well. And I think she has actually been likened on the men's side, and who's now retired, to someone like Andy Murray, which is quite an interesting comparison. The one thing I would just levy against her potentially is actually her lack of willingness to come to the net at times. I feel like she can hit very clean from the back of the court, and sometimes the points can be shortened, but there's maybe a hesitancy to come forward. And it's interesting because she's a very good doubles player. That doesn't always mean that you're a great volleyer, especially in singles specifically, but it can be an indicator that you might be quite good at the net. For Raducanu, she's quite comfortable coming forward to the net. She loves to take on the drive volley, which I think is such a useful tool to take time away from your opponent. And she does it really well, goes in and behind her opponents as well. The serve's going to be quite important, I think, for Raducanu. Pegula is a very good returner, but I think both players can be susceptible to getting broken. I think Raducanu served a bit better than Pegula throughout this tournament. And on the return, I think both are very potent. I think both will try and take advantage of the second serve. I think Pegula hits a slice second serve, if I'm not mistaken, so Raducanu will look to step in on that. As she did against Anisimova, she was inside the baseline at times on the second serve, trying to attack it. And then from the back of the court, I actually think Pegula will have slightly better shot tolerance, at least on paper. But during this tournament, Raducanu's shot tolerance has been very good, it has to be said. But I think what's important is that Raducanu is able to wrestle some of the momentum in the points. I think she's done very well on the back foot in a lot of these matches, a lot better than I've expected her to do. But I think against Pegula is, in my opinion, a bit of a confidence player. So if she feels like the momentum is quite firmly on her side of the court, she will run with it. And she will make you pay, and she'll grow in more confidence. She'll start hitting the ball cleaner and harder, go for a little bit more, get close to the lines, and she probably won't make many errors whilst doing that because her eye's in, she is dialed in, and she's looking to really stamp her authority in the match. I think for Raducanu, for her, I think she needs to do what she's been doing, I think, in Miami, if I'm being honest. If she does what she did against Anisimova, where she was playing someone who's a really big hitter, her pace absorption was really good against Anisimova, mixed up nicely with the whip forehand as well at times. If she can just perform how she has been in this tournament, I think she will win. And I think she is red hot right now, and Pegula is playing quite well, but if I'm not mistaken, I think Pegula also is carrying a slight niggle as well. I think Raducanu is going to win. I think it's going to be in 3 sets. I think it might be similar to Eastbourne in terms of how tight the scoreline is. It'll play out differently because it's a different surface. But I do think that these quicker courts, lower bouncing courts, I actually think they suit both players' games, but I think especially Raducanu, it seems that she enjoys these fast conditions. And when she won at the US Open in 2021, the courts were fast. The balls are regular duty balls. It was flying. I mean, in these conditions, in Miami, the ball is flying. For Pegula, I think it is an advantage to her, but not as much as Raducanu, in my opinion. I think she has a little bit more power than Raducanu, but Raducanu likes to hit the ball early and rush her opponents. So Raducanu in 3, is my prediction. Let me know in the comment section below what you think and why. Thanks very much, guys. Stay safe and well. We'll see you on the next video.